For centuries it stood on high, overlooking the people of Athens, iconic symbol of ancient Greece. But mention the Acropolis this weekend and thoughts turn to another Greek classic. Played out against the stunning backdrop of the Peloponnese Peninsula, we're about to witness one of the biggest challenges in sport. A brutal test of human, technical and mechanical endurance. Hello, I'm Kevin Piper. Welcome to Greece, the Acropolis Rally. Rough, rugged, relentless. Hold on tight. This is the big one, the Rally of the Gods. So far this year, the crews have tackled snow, tarmac and gravel, and now return to the sport's European heartland for one of the season's classics. With world champion Sébastien Loeb taking on only 4 events in this, his swan song season, it's fellow Frenchman Sébastien Ogier who's the dominant force this year, winning 3 out of the 5 rallies so far. Volkswagen's impressive debut season also reflected in the manufacturer's standings, the German mark 14 points ahead of Citroën. The Acropolis Rally Greece takes place to the west of the capital Athens, alongside the famous Corinth Canal. The crews tackling a total competitive distance of just over 300 kilometres, with the service park based once again in the coastal resort of Loutraki. Day 1, the opening morning, and it's shakedown. The Russian Yevgeny Novikov gives himself and co-driver Ilka Minor a fright right at the end. See it again. Replay shows just how close they came to heading into the Greek undergrowth. A wry smile from the Russian rocket as he prepares for qualifying. Composure regained, the crews head for the same 3-kilometre stretch of road. Quickest in qualifying, remember, gets first choice of road position, which on the loose, dusty, rocky roads of Greece will be an important factor. A graphic illustration there of the notorious Greek terrain. Sébastien Ogier, first away, sets the benchmark time. Second quickest, it's Danny Sordo in the Citroën. And Yevgeny Novikov, showing good pace from the start, is third. Novikov just ahead of teammates Thierry Neuville and Mads Osberg. Mika Hirvonen way off the pace. Not the start the Citroën man was hoping for, but not the worst. That's Jari-Matti Latvala, who produces the poorest qualifying performance of his career. So the Finns, Latvala and Hirvonen, forced to start earlier than ideal, 4th and 5th on the road. Novikov, Sordo and Ogier opting to start further back, anticipating a cleaner road surface, despite the risk of lingering dust in the darkness of the upcoming night stage. Well, with the road positions chosen, the crews make their way to Athens for the opening ceremony, before heading out of the capital and into the hills for a monster first stage, which promises plenty of Greek drama from the off, as we'll see in just a moment.
Left 3, stay in taxi. 3, stay, right taxi, 30.
Welcome back to Greece, the capital Athens, and the opening ceremony of one of motorsport's most famous events, the Acropolis, part of the World Rally Championship since 1973, and so celebrating its 40th anniversary.
So first of all, I want to welcome the participants in sunny Athens, and I know that this has been a traditionally huge event in sports racing and in world competition, and we hope to make it better and bigger, and everybody's very welcome today, and I'm very happy I'm here.
Okay, time for the action. The crew's facing two stages on this opening day. Stage 1 will prove a real challenge at almost 48 kilometres. It's a rugged climb, the first 26 kilometres of which make up stage 2, which will be run in the darkness. Here's John Desborough.
So they call this place the Rally of the Gods, but it can be a devil of a place to get round in one piece. Mikko Hirvonen, if ever there was a man who needed a quick getaway, this was him. He can't have thought he was going to be starting so high up the order. So poor was he in qualifying. Mikko does now have lots of stage kilometres on which he can get into a bit of a rhythm to settle and to pick his moments. But, well, look at this. By the looks of this, Hirvonen already needs a pick-me-up, because as he nears the end of our opening stage, he's developed what? Some kind of a steering problem. Well, you want to know how bad those steering problems are that Hirvonen has? Well, behind him on the road is Nasser Al-Attiyah. And this, up there in the dust, is what he can see of Hirvonen's crisis. That means that's 2 minutes Nasser has made up. There's contact. Hirvonen is almost idling. Nasser takes off. And all of that bother costs Hirvonen 6 minutes.
Mikko, a huge amount of time lost. What's happened?
There's no connection between steering wheel and steering rack. So some places when I turn the steering, it turns 6 laps before anything happens. So in some places I had to slow down, reverse to get the car turning, and something is really badly loose in the steering.
I think Mikko's had a bad start. Well, Mats Osberg is having even less fun. He's 5th in the championship. But already things are beginning to look bad. Now, the crews have been warned about the damage winter storms have left here. And Osberg is finding out just how bad. Parking up is desperate stuff. The clock is ticking. Osberg has been driving on 3 wheels. This is a man in crisis. Meanwhile, Osberg has no other option than to change that wheel. It is possible to change those things in a minute and a half, but he drops over 3 minutes. Last to start, and with the stage in the cleanest condition it can be, Sébastien Ogier, and with a point to prove that his 2nd place in Argentina at the beginning of the month was not the real Ogier. The quietest man in this championship is Yevgeny Novikov. When he's not in his car, that is, because when he is, he's flying. And here he's making up heaps of time on the unfortunate Hirvonen and Osberg. With any luck, Malcolm Wilson's M-Sport team will be feeding him news of that carnage on the stage in front of him and advising him to be a bit cautious. But this is great stuff. This opening stage catapults him to the top of the leaderboard and past the broken dreams of the front runners. Now what's this? Now there's a 3rd casualty. That's Ogier's co-driver. So what's he doing parked up?
And this stage we had a problem with the fuel pressure, it seems, so we don't know exactly where it's coming from, but we had to stop because of that, yeah.
And what about Osberg?
Mads, just kind of inconsolable. What's wrong?
The wheel fell off.
And what a start it's been for former Formula 1 driver Robert Kubica. Quickly into 9th place.
Well, we did warn you it would be brutal. Major casualties in the very first stage, all of which means Yevgeny Novikov is the surprise early leader, 20 seconds ahead of Danny Sordo, Jari-Matti Latvala 3rd. And confirmation, Robert Kubica staying out of trouble, making an impressive start here in Greece. Well, as the crews digest and in some cases recover from that traumatic opening stage, a reminder these incredibly rough roads call for some special measures, not least when it comes to the suspension.
Well, what are you looking at here? The damper and the spring. The spring, I think, is obvious to most people. It is the piece here that takes the weight of the car and stops the car from hitting the ground. And that is obviously the black coily bit on the front here. Then inside that is what we call the damper. And that bit is essentially a rod with a piston inside a chamber of oil. And that basically restricts the movement of the springs, so that when you get the car bouncing around the ground without the damper, it would bounce and throw the car off the road. The damper inside controls it and stops the movement from becoming wild and out of control, basically. The adjusters down on this end is for the compression damping, and we have an adjuster up at the top, which they can't see under the bonnet, which is for the rebound damping. And the compression damping is literally when the car compresses, so when you take into a bump, we can make it stiffer or softer. And the rebound is when you come off of the ground, the speed at which the wheel comes back to the floor. The drivers sometimes have, during the test, found different types of settings better for different types of stages. So sometimes between stages, they'll know that one is maybe less rough than the previous stage, and they may come out and make the adjustments based on what we found in testing. What you tend to get with a car that's bouncing around a lot is a great deal of heat generated in these components, and they are obviously therefore have to be able to withstand that sort of heat. I mean, a road car damper would, if it wasn't to fail from the impact, it would certainly overheat, boil and explode and lose all its fluid. The biggest problem with Greece is the rock impacts that you get, because there's quite a lot of loose rocks and what have you, so that can put a lot of strain physically on the car. But it's also the amount of movement the wheel has to cope with just following the ground, and at such high ambient temperatures, the actual damper itself gets incredibly hot, so you have to be able to cope with those extreme conditions, which Greece has got some of the most extreme conditions of the championship. We design what we consider, which is maybe a bit of a secret within the Ford team, as to what we consider an acceptable level of impact and what we consider to be an accident, and we design every component to be able to withstand that level, and anything above, they kind of, any one of the components could bend or fail. You can have an internal failure, which would be like an overheating situation. You could lose the oil in your damper. Now, if you were to lose that, then you have no control on the spring, and the car, its handling would be compromised, but the bigger problem would be that things would start to smash and bang around, and then the impacts on the associated components become much greater. Now, this is a very fundamental part of what keeps the car on the road.
Well, that takes us back to service, where Mikko Hirvonen's mechanics begin major surgery on his ailing steering system. It needs a complete change, a big ask in the 30 minutes allocated time. So a disastrous start to the rally for the Finn, also in for repairs, the championship leader.
The car stopped. We had a fuel pump issue or something like that, no fuel pressure. And yeah, no way to continue. It's bad luck, but that's rally. Sometimes after 6 races, it's our first big problem, and as we are still a new team, I cannot really complain, and hopefully now we'll have a good rally and try to catch some point if we can.
And this service also provides a chance to fit the headlights for the next stage, to be run in darkness.
We just add additional extra light for the night stages. As we can see, we put in fact 6 more lights on the front bumper. It costs a bit of weight, but we can see the road. It helps a lot.
Oh, I bet it does. Well, at Citroën, Hirvonen's mechanics have put in a superb effort. His steering repaired in time for him to head out and resume his challenge. Lights, cameras, action. It's time to return to John.
So you liked that opening stage, did you? Good, because stage 2 repeats the first 26 kilometres, but in the dark, with those special lights on. It's where every corner will look different to the way it did in bright sunshine. So who drives best tonight? Jari-Matti Latvala is the championship's Eskimo. He prefers staying out the sun. He pushes on to hunt down Danny Sordo. Mikko Hirvonen's Citroën is repaired after service, no longer steering like a riverboat. Oh, maybe it is. He was lucky to escape that. He claws back a chunk of time and leaves stage 2 in 17th place. Danny Sordo says he needs to find the same level of performance he had in Portugal earlier this year. He's backed off around the carnage in stage 1. He safely gets to the bright lights at the end of stage 2 and is still in 2nd place.
Danny, you're asking about the time of Latvia. You have dropped a little bit of time to... Everything okay?
I don't know, I just try to drive a little bit more clean, but I think it's not the good way, you know. I lost time, but today was a difficult day, and I'm happy to to be here without problems.
Everything that's happened so far is manna from the gods for Yevgeny Novikov. He guides his Fiesta to another stage win, beating Latvala by 2.8 seconds, and heads back to Rally HQ with a lead of just over 30.
I'm hoping that's an 18.00. If so, you've been quicker by miles, but let's wait to see.
Yeah, quite good. Was could drive a bit faster because did some small mistakes in dark with the brakings, but generally everything is good.
A stage at night, a rare move by the organisers, but a good one, and one that creates images that will stay with you for a long time to come.
Sure will, John. Sporting poetry in motion here at the Acropolis. All of which concludes a remarkable opening day in Greece. Yevgeny Novikov with a clear lead of 30 seconds over Dani Sordo. Jari-Matti Latvala in third. Sebastian Ogier missed stage 2. He'll be back tomorrow. Our top 10 completed by Grand Prix star Robert Kubica in only his second World Rally event. The Acropolis then already living up to its fearsome reputation, and we've hardly started. Tomorrow they've 8 more brutal stages to tackle. We'll be back with more bumps and bruises in just a moment. Greece, the holiday hotspot of Loutraki, ahead of the longest day of the infamous Acropolis Rally. Here's what the drivers face: 8 stages featuring some of the roughest terrain they're likely to encounter. Championship leader Sebastian Ogier among the early casualties. He'll be back later. Right now, it's John.
The morning after the nightmare the day before, and guess what? The most extreme event in the championship is about to get more extreme. Khalid Al-Qasimi is in the points places this morning and happy to profit at the expense of the bigger names.
Left 3, tightens into braking, right 4, half long, and turn blind, hairpin left up.
Co-driver Scott Martin guides him around the pitfalls, but how about this hairpin left? He drops over 1 minute and 21 seconds to the rally leader. Jari-Matti Latvala doesn't need us to tell him just how important today is going to be to his entire year. Teammate Sebastian Ogier leads in 3 wins to nothing so far this year, but he's not in contention. He didn't finish stage 1. Latvala is quickest over the 17 kilometers of this stage.
Normally, Mika is not commentating so much how the stage was, but when he says it was a good stage, then it was a good stage, and he said it this time.
Latvala a happy man, and we're about to make him even happier, because what he doesn't know is that he has matched our Russian rally leader blow for blow, corner for corner, hairpin for hairpin. And that's because after everything that they've been through here, Yevgeny Novikov and Jari-Matti Latvala record exactly the same stage time.
So Novikov really pushing hard, setting the early pace. He leads. Jari-Matti Latvala getting past Dani Sordo to move up to second. A fascinating contest unfolding here. Osberg has passed Al-Qasimi to move up to 8th. Robert Kubica keeping his place on the leaderboard. Next, it's our stage of the day. Stage 4, just over 17.5 kilometers long. We've selected a 500-meter stretch to compare and contrast the front runners. Watching the action for us around this twisty mountainside track, it's John.
Let's get stuck into it. And before we compare our front runners, let's see whose nerves are still intact. Let's watch VW's young Norwegian star, Andreas Mikkelsen. Mikkelsen has benefited from Ogier and from Osberg's troubles. He's running in 5th at the moment. But here, he has one of those moments, all of his own. It's a half spin, it's an understeer through that hairpin, and he sits there in the dust, and there's always one lucky spectator there with his camera to catch the moment. That costs him 10 valuable seconds. Danny Sordo has been another survivor and our first runner through the live split time section. Typical Greek stuff is this. Uphill through a section of hairpins. Remember, this is a big opportunity for Sordo because he's in the hunt at the moment for second place. Now his aim here is simple. It's just to find the places where he can push harder. Still try and be sensible enough to rein himself in when necessary. And helping him, the guiding voice of his co-driver, reminding him of the places where he can find safe cuts, the places where the ruts are deep here.
Para derecha 7 a fondo, 20 frenar y derecha 1 muy lenta. 1 muy lenta.
Not too deep by Danny Sordo, just about perfect. Now coming into this stage, Jari-Matti Latvala is 4 and a bit seconds ahead of Sordo. A bad entry into one of these sections and could easily lose that time and drop a place. And he's also going to be very keen to know what Yevgeny Novikov is up to, who is behind him on this stage. So let's put up the clocks. That's the time that Sordo has set for him to beat through this split. And Latvala should really be in buoyant mood as he climbs his way up through his hairpins. But he can't get too carried away. The race in the Manufacturers' Championship is a tight one with Citroën, but here he's 0.2 of a second down on the isolated split time that we've set up. This stage is going well, very well. He's gaining up to half a second a kilometre on his rival, so if you do see that famous grin appear on his face, well, you'll know that's the reason why. But there is one more rival to come, and this is him, the best so far, the rally leader, Yevgeny Novikov. Novikov has been matching Jari blow for blow so far this morning. But with the time ticking away, look at the rear right wheel of that car. Did you see it? Around the corner he comes, and look at that wobble. Now, the next question we have to ask is it causing him to lose time? Surely it must be. That's 25% of the power that he must be down. And the answer is, as he comes around that left-hander, not much. That's not a bad performance from Novikov, bearing in mind the trouble he has got. And he's working hard to stay in contention. What happened back there? Greece has got into Novikov's machine. The surprises just keep on coming. And yes, this wheel needs changing. But as the spectator discovered, there was absolutely nothing he could do. The car is almost uncontrollable.
What exactly is broken?
Broken, there are 2 arms broken, no brake disc, and also brake line is broken.
And the leaderboard gives us the bad news. He loses the lead. The better news is he keeps going for more punishment. So Latvala, our new leader, the rally of the gods. It can be hell sometimes. Here's Mads Osberg, another man whose car has taken a beating. Something in his front suspension has gone bang. When's there going to be some good news for Mads?
Okay, I don't know. Something happened on the start line. Just already from the beginning, something was wrong, and I don't know. It felt good on the other stage.
As you know, rally drivers have a team of people to do their mechanical work, normally, not here. With another stage to go until he reaches the safety of service, Mads has to try and fix his front suspension all on his own. Martin Prokop came into this stage feeling a bit of pressure from Osberg. He'll leave stage 6 in 6th place, and with the ailing Osberg dropping back to over a minute and a half behind him. But this boy's nothing if not consistent. Back to check on Andreas Mikkelsen. Now, this was the guy we saw spin earlier and feast on his own dust. He's running in the 3rd of the 3 VWs this weekend. But what's this? Mikkelsen has his hazards flashing. It must be a sign of something serious, and he drops a position into 5th place.
Yeah, we tried to fix the brakes. I have sole little brakes. Luckily, this stage is quite a lot uphill. So, but as soon as there is twisted sections, I have need to brake on the gears more or less.
And so on to our rally leader, Jari-Matti Latvala. And the best place to watch him in his pomp is from our eye in the sky. This is the kind of driving that has brought him 3 stage wins today and put him on course for his first win in that Volkswagen. The gods are smiling.
Will those gods continue to smile on Jari-Matti, looking comfortable out front despite Sordo winning stage 6. The gap between the top 2 now 18.7 seconds. Early leader Novikov continuing to lose time with his damaged wheel, now slipping outside the top 10. He's 11th. So Yevgeny's hopes of a first WRC victory cruelly dashed. He's limped his way back to service in Loutraki, but his damaged Fiesta a reminder of how tortuous the Acropolis can be. No such problems for our new leader, Jari-Matti, hoping this could be his first win for VW.
I thought we are quite far from Novikov, 40 seconds, and this morning when we started, first stage same speed, and I thought, okay, speed-wise, I'm not able to catch him, but then suddenly something happened to him, and we managed to catch Sordo, so we are in the lead. So, but this is Acropolis. Everything is happening always in this rally.
And what we have now is Latvala, Sordo and Neuville, VW, Citroën and M-Sport, and John taking in the scenery.
The Corinth Canal, a 6-kilometre shortcut to the ancient world, but no shortcuts for us and those tyres, because it's back up to the top of the loop of these stages where battle will recommence. And for a man who's been away from the Acropolis for 4 years, Khalid Al-Qasimi is enjoying himself.
4 plus in. Easy left 3 plus some rocks.
Woohoo! Enjoying himself. Ouch. Just a little too much.
Okay.
There's been a lot to learn on that Citroën, but he and co-driver Scott Martin climb out of that wreckage on stage 8 unhurt, and they were only 200 metres into it. Sebastien Ogier's part of the lame duck is over. A day of road sweeping comes to an end. He works his way up from 23rd place to 10th, and that's despite carrying 10 minutes of time penalties for failing to finish the opening 2 stages. Stage 8 is a disaster for Mikko Hirvonen because of a puncture 7 kilometres before the end. Stage 9 isn't much better. He then drops over 1.5 seconds a kilometre to Ogier, who wins stage 10.
130. Oikein vasen eri ylinypy, Kirra vähän hämää. Heti lyhyt oikein eri, jarru 4, nyppy 10, oikein serpo takavis, tiukka, kivi sisällä. Vasen loiva yli nypyn.
It's so rough, you know, you're hitting rocks and things all the time, so I don't know which one it was which broke the tire, but you get it really easily, that's for sure.
Nasser Al-Attiyah's put in a steady performance which sees him battling for 4th place, and look what else is happening. It's now beginning to rain. Can you believe it? Now Thierry Neuville is Ford's front runner now, and if he can remember what he did this morning and better it, he'll be on his way to only a second podium finish of his fledgling career.
Et gauche 60 long tenir, gauche 60 long tenir, pas droite 40 000 long tenir, droite 40 000 long tenir, et gauche 140 rasé à fond, gauche 140 rasé.
Danny Sordo must have decided that he just can't keep pace with our new leader because he is dropping time. He's in little danger of being caught by Neuville, who inherited third place this morning, but surely Danny's not waving a white flag at the flying Finn just yet. And here is our new leader, Jari-Matti Latvala. Just to add to his concerns, this rain is now getting heavier, and on this second pass through these stages, the roads have taken a lot of traffic, and they'll be much rougher because of it. One or two unexpected tooth-crunching bumps will scare him just a little bit. There's a lot riding on this Jari. And also heading back to Loutraki after a good day's work, Robert Kubica, 11th overall, but clear leader of World Rally Championship 2.
So at the end of a tough day's rallying, Latvala enjoys a relatively comfortable lead, more than a minute ahead of Sordo. Neuville third, Alatir and Mikkelsen set to battle it out for fifth on the final day. And confirmation that championship leader Sébastien Ogier is back in the points. He's 10th. Another rough, tough day in Greece draws to a close. There's just one more to come, but as history proves, the Acropolis is never over until it's over. The final day's action is next. Sunday, the final day of the Acropolis Rally. Jari-Matti Latvala on course for his first victory of the season here in Greece. First though, news of an impressive performance from a potential WRC star in the making. Robert Kubica, in only his second outing in the Championship Support Series, producing a stunning performance here in his Citroën DS3, winning the WRC 2 event in style. The ex-Formula One star took victory by a minute and a half. He hadn't competed seriously on gravel until earlier this year in Portugal, but now taming one of the toughest tests of all. Kubica certainly making a smooth transition from circuit racing to World Rally.
Difficult to stay on the road and difficult to have no puncture and everything, but especially that, you know, I have 20 years experience on circuits, flat surface, no rough condition, no jumps, no stones, and yeah, it's been very tough, but it's have been very productive weekend, not only from the result point of view, but because of the knowledge of experience I get, and definitely this rally will help me for the future.
Well, behind Kubica, a good fight for the podium places. Ukrainian Yuri Protasov in the Ford Fiesta taking second. He was run close though until the final stages by fellow Fiesta driver Abdulaziz Al-Kouari. The championship leader, winner in Mexico and Argentina, eventually finishing third behind Protasov and Kubica. Okay, back to the main event. 4 more demanding stages totaling just over 80 kilometers. Danger lurking around every corner in every deep rut. Stages 11 and 13 have already been partly used, so they are likely to be extra rough. Relax at your peril in the company of John Desborough.
Because there are 1 or 2 more blows still to trade with this Greek countryside. They used part of this next stage on stage 1, so it'll be rough and it'll be exposed as well. So there will be between a rock and a hard place. This is Mads Osberg, refreshed, ready to give it one last go. Now, the sun is out, Mads. The end isn't far away. The dramas of the weekend, they're behind you, Mads. What could possibly go wrong as you spoke too soon? More time to make up. And after a moment like that, it's only natural that the panic sets in and somebody has to remind you that less speed is required, just a little bit more haste. Out of this hairpin, he oversteers.
Again, I had the spin, so I must stop doing that. But
you're very consistent this morning at spinning.
Yeah, the speed is good, but I spin once every stage.
VW have decided on their plan today, and it involves this man, Andreas Mikkelsen, who is locked in a battle for 4th place. And Nasser Al-Attiyah, about to start the stage behind him, holds that place. There are 26 seconds between them and about 80 kilometres for them to fight over.
Drive left, and short right, and 3 left.
The first part of that is achieved here as he gets within a handful of seconds of his target.
I did some 3-4 mistakes where I lost all the speed out of the corners, but other than that it was a good stage, and we're catching up.
Then on stage 12, Mikkelsen makes his move and challenges this man, Al-Attiyah, to respond to that move.
Right 1, 50, cut left 2 minus. Right 1, 50.
Nasser's best finish ever was 4th place. He was 5th in Portugal and Mexico this year, but here he's a lot slower, as you can see from the clock. Mikkelsen takes the place, and with 1.9 seconds in hand. The Greek crowd has turned out to witness this. It's the day 3 dust-up, and Al-Attiyah has come out of it on second best.
Nasser used to longish stages in hot weather, but you're really sweating out. You're pushing with Andreas.
Yes, I tried to be with Andreas, but he's gone very fast. Yes, and but okay, we try to stay in this space. You know, you don't know what has happened because still we have 2 stages. Yeah, I cannot go more because it's really very difficult last part because very narrow. It's easy to do mistake.
With his lead now over a minute, it should be relatively straightforward for VW to get Jari-Matti Latvala home in 1st place. They can talk to him from the service park, make sure he doesn't lose any time to Danny Sordo in 2nd, because we understand Sordo has now called the dogs off and is driving defensively. So this is the kind of drive Latvala's been waiting for all year.
So that's the first part of today's mission safely accomplished by Jari-Matti Latvala. 2 stage wins for Andreas Mikkelsen see him move up to 4th. Teammate and championship leader Sebastian Ogier running in 10th. One more trip back to the service park in Lutraki then, and very different targets ahead for the VW boys. Mikkelsen at least has achieved his initial goal of passing Al-Attiyah, the young Norwegian beginning to relish his move to the sport's top level.
It's fantastic to drive the car, you know, it's the speed of the car, and compared to what I was used to last year and the last couple of years, it's so much faster everywhere. And yeah, it's been a great morning, and 2 stage wins out of 2 so far, so no, I'm really excited by that.
But for teammate and rally leader Latvala, an even bigger prize awaits.
Well, I think the morning was a bit difficult to find the right rhythm. Some places I felt I would like to go faster, but then the sense says that just take it easy. And so now I know what to expect for the afternoon. The main thing is to bring the car home, and it's important for the manufacturer's points. And so in that sense, just bring it home.
So this is it, everybody. Stage 14, the power stage. And after this, it's all over. The punishment will finish. Let's take a look at the map of our stage. No time for the concentration to drop, and should it? Well, we've highlighted this section of our final stage to see who's a man and who's a boy with the end in sight. And because it's the power stage, the attention switches back to Sebastian Ogier and Mikko Hirvonen. They were our early casualties. Do they have a final flourish? Our championship leader has 10th place in the bag, but does he want some extra points?
320 pour un ciel passe de 80 mètres derrière, plus droite 140 sur un frein 80
Sebastian Ogier has had a final flourish before, but here it's meagre earnings he's taken from Greece. Down there are 3 more points.
De droite 138 qui corde, sur gauche 130 plus qui l'on jette, gauche 130 plus qui l'on jette, 200 mètres. Gauche 150 arrivé.
The end of the stage is coming up. Fair. Has Ogier done enough to get 3 valuable points for him and for VW? Now, Novikov is in 9th place. Ogier is too far behind the Russian to feel threatened, but what's he like with power stage points up for grabs?
Right, zero.
Tell you what we'll do, we'll measure the dust muncher against Ogier by putting a clock up to compare him with the Frenchman.
Forward finish, zero long cut. 100.
Novikov is coming up to the stage end. Fair, how's he done? He's 9.9 seconds slower, but how will that fare in the final countdown? Ooh, this is Mikko Hervinen. What would he give to start this whole event all over again? Can he make up for some of Friday's carnage by speeding through our power stage?
Huomio. Oikein täysmiinus aukeaa ylinypyn vasen laita. Jarru 5. Oikein jarru.
Faster, faster. The little voice in his head is telling him, Mikko, you've got to go faster. The end of the stage is coming up. The clock is going to stop any second now around this corner. There it is. Mikko is 13.4 seconds slower. No bonus points for Mikko. Danny Sordo is our rally runner-up. He's got a collection of silverware for coming second. He's got one more today. And so to our victory run. It's time for that picture of concentration across the face of Jari-Matti Latvala to be replaced by that toothy grin. Come on, Jari. Jari-Matti Latvala has finally done what all top drivers want to do, beaten his teammate and a very good field to win one of the most famous and certainly one of the most unforgiving events in world motorsport.
Hyvä, kiitos Mikko. Se oli hieno juttu. Ei voitetaan raftilla.
What does it feel like? It feels amazing. It's been a tough start of the season for me, and it's really nice to win here. A really important moment for myself. And it was 10 years ago. I was driving in Acropolis, my first World Championship rally with the World Rally car. It took 10 years to win this rally.
Well done, Jari-Matti, but who gets those extra bonus points? Well, they are Ogier, Novikov and Mikkelsen.
So, after 14 fearsome stages, Jari-Matti Latvala makes it to the finish line to win comfortably ahead of Danny Sordo and Thierry Neuville. Andreas Mikkelsen taking 4th ahead of Nasser Al-Attiyah. Mads Osberg and Mikko Hervinen 6th and 8th after all their dramas. Sebastian Ogier making a good comeback after his opening day retirement to claim 10th. At service, the Volkswagen mechanics welcome home their Finnish warrior after his maiden team victory.
The last stage felt extremely long. Every bump, every stone, I felt it, and I all the time thinking about the car that hopefully it doesn't do any harm for the car, but everything was fine at the end. 10 years ago, when I came here as an 18-year-old boy, it felt amazing to do this rally, and it feels amazing to win it.
Jari-Matti has done a fantastic job all weekend, and you see now that he's very confident with the car and that he loves to drive. He's very confident with the team, and also the team has done a fantastic job winning the Acropolis with a new car in the first year with a new team. I think that's again another outstanding achievement for this season.
And here's how it stands in the championship. Sebastian Ogier remains out in front, but it's now his teammate who trails him. Jari-Matti Latvala's win pushing him ahead of Sebastian Loeb. Mads Osberg drops from 5th to 7th after a tough weekend. Alatir and Prokop swap places. In the manufacturers, Volkswagen extend their lead by 4 points. They're now 18 ahead of Citroën. Well, back at Loutraki, Jari-Matti Latvala, a happy, if relieved man, to have finally posted his first victory for his new employers. The Acropolis Rally promised to be rough and tough, and certainly delivered. Next up is the Gravel of Sardinia later this month. Hope to see you again there. For now, though, from John Desborough and myself, Kevin Piper, thanks for watching. Goodbye.